Hello class, today we are on day 2 of simplifying fractions. So the essential question is, how do I simplify fractions? Your learning intention, I'm learning to simplify fractions. This will lead us into being able to add and subtract fractions. So answer either true or false for the following statements and give an example. The real numbers are closed under multiplication. Remember, the funny looking R means real numbers. Are they closed under multiplication? Yes, that would be true. So I could have negative 18 times positive 2 would give me negative 36. Just multiplying two rational numbers together. I could have 2/3 times 1/3 equals whatever I would like to do there, because they are closed under multiplication. Okay, your integers, remember that Z is integers, are closed under subtraction. Would that be true? Think about all the ways we can subtract numbers. Would that be true? Yes, that would be true also. Okay, so you can take any two numbers. It doesn't matter if they're positive or negative. Negative 10 minus 15 would give me negative 25. Those are all integers, and it works when you subtract. Okay, N stands for your natural numbers. Remember, these are our counting numbers. Are they closed under addition? Yeah, because if you start at 1 and you just go up. So if you had 100 plus, this would be true. I forgot to put the true down first. (100) plus 1 would be 101. Okay, Q. What is the Q? The Q are your rational numbers. Are they closed under division? No, they're not, because we've got one rational number that makes it untrue. Do you know what that is? That's the number 0. Zero is a rational number, but 3 divided by 0 is undefined. We can't do it. Okay, so now we're going to go into the simplifying again. If I'm looking at 12, what are the factors of 12? Well, it's even, so I can divide by 2. I get 6. 6 is even. Divide by 2, I get 3. 3 is prime. Divided by 3, I get 1. So 12 is the same as 2 times 2 times 3. What about 20? It's even, so I can divide by 2 and I get 10. 10 is even, I can divide by 2, I get 5. 5 is prime. I'm done. So this is 2 times 2 times 5. Okay, whatever's on top and bottom will cancel out, because 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. When I multiply by 1, nothing happens. So my answer is 3/5. Okay, what about the last one? let's think this one out. 4 is what part of 8? Four is 1/2 of 8. So this fraction is going to be 1 over 2, and it's also going to be negative. So anytime the top number is 1/2 of the bottom, you know that that will give you the fraction 1/2. Okay, let's look at 30 divided by negative 35. First thing you do is analyze. What happens when I divide a positive number by a negative number? I get a negative number, so we know our answer is going to be negative. So let's see what the factors of 30 are. It is even, so I can divide it by 2 and get 15. 15 is not even. I can divide it by 3 and get 5. I can divide 5 by 5 and get 1. So the top is 2 times 3 times 5. That's what 30 is. What about 35? 35 is not even. Can I divide by 3? 3 plus 5 is 8. 8 is not divisible by 3. 35 is not divisible by 3. So we jump up to 5. Is it divisible by 5? Yes. 35 divided by 5 is 7. 7 is prime. So the bottom is 5 times 7. Cancels out. The 5s will cancel out. So I've got 2 times 3 over negative 7, which gives me 6 over 7, and it is a negative number. Any questions? Okay. To be able to do the next one, we have to know what numbers that will go into it. So as I am looking at this, 125. Can I divide it by 2? No. Can I divide it by 3? 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 5 is 8. 8 is not divisible by 3, so 125 is not divisible by 3. Can I divide by 5? Yes, it ends in a 5. Okay, so if I'm thinking I'm dividing $1.25 5 ways, I end up with a quarter each time. 25 is divisible by 5. So the top is 5 times 5 times 5. What about 325? Is it divisible by 3? 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 5 is 10. Not divisible by 3. Is it divisible by 5? Yes. 5 goes into 30 6 times. And I've got 25 left over, so this would be 65. I can divide by 5 again. 5 goes into 65 13 times. 13 is prime. When I get to 1, I'm done. So this is 5 times 5 times 13. The 5s will cancel out. because it makes a 1, and when I multiply by 1 it doesn't change anything. And my answer is 5 over 13. Okay, so this brings us into, this is how you simplify, but now we need to know how to add or subtract. When adding or subtracting fractions, you must have a common what? That is a common denominator. The denominator is the number on the bottom. So your fractions have a numerator divided by the denominator. So I've got the bottom number has to be the same to be able to add or subtract. So as I'm looking at the first one, are the bottom numbers the same? Well, yeah, they are. So all I have to do is to focus on what's on top. So this is 1 plus 3, which gives me 4 over 2. 4 divided by 2 is simply 2. How about the next one? Do we have that common denominator? Yes. That means we've got to focus on the numerator. 13 minus 7. That's all we're looking at. 13 minus 7. That gives me 6 over 3. 6 divided by 3 is also 2. As long as the denominators are the same, you can add or subtract the top numbers. But what happens when they're different? Then we've got to change one of them to make the numerators the same. So I've got 3 and I've got 6. So the first thing I think of is, will 3 divide evenly into 6? Yes, 2 times. So I know I can convert 2 over 3 into something over 6. Okay, what have I multiplied 3 by to get 6? Well, I multiplied it by 2. So whatever I do to the bottom, I've also got to do to the top. 2 times 2 is 4. So 2 over 3 is equivalent to 4 over 6. And I can now rewrite. 4 over 6 minus 5 over 6 equals, now they're both over 6. It's going to be over 6. 4 minus 5, deal with those numerators. So this is negative 1 over 6. Okay, so sometimes they're really easy and you don't have to change a thing. Sometimes they're not too bad and you'll have to change one denominator. But what happens when they're both different? Will 3 go evenly into 5? No. So I know that I've got to have a number that will be bigger than 5. So 3 times 5 is 15. 3 and 5 are both prime numbers. So my smallest common denominator will be 15, or 3 times 5. So 4 over 5 is equal to something over 15. Now remember, I'm multiplying by 3. Whatever I do to the bottom, I've got to do to the top. 4 times 3 is 12. I've got to do the same thing with 2 over 3. Once again, I'm going into 15. 3 times what gives me 15? 3 times 5. So 2 times 5 I've got to do also, and that gives me 10 over 15. Okay, now I've got the common denominator. I'll just look at my numerators. 12 minus 10. That gives me 2 over 15. Do they have a common factor? Does 2 go into 15 evenly? No. I'm done. So I know I'm successful when I can simplify fractions, find a common denominator, and add or subtract your fractions. So simplify fractions. Find a common denominator. And that is that finding that common denominator is so that we can either add or subtract fractions.